In today's video, we're going to be running through Google Tag Manager and how you can set up button click tracking so that you're getting your events straight inside Google Analytics. Let's take a look at how to do this. So I'm assuming that you've already got a Google Tag Manager account and you set this up with the code inside your website. If you have, when you come over here under preview, you will be able to see your website come up on the right-hand side here, and on the left-hand side here, this will connect, and then it won't come up saying that, there's no tag in the website itself. It'll actually come up saying that there's all these things, or it might even just have one thing here, but it won't say that there's no tag. So if you have done that, the first thing that we need to do is we need to come over to our variables. And Google Tag Manager, whilst it seems a bit complicated, is actually very, very simple. You've got variables, you've got tags, and you've got triggers. Variables are the things or the parameters that we're looking at. Triggers are essentially what's happening, the if this, then that, trigger something. And then tags, for what we're doing, it's our way of tracking what is happening. So if a trigger is fired, then let a tag happen, and that tag is connected to our Google Analytics. We'll get into it. So for the button click tracking, we need to go into our variables, come over here and click configure, and then we can scroll down, and we need everything under clicks to be clicked here. It's a lot of clicking. So we've got here click elements, click class, click ID, all these different types of things. Now what these are the different parameters that we're able to see when somebody actually clicks that button. If you've got all these things clicked, click away and come on over to triggers. So you'll see in here that I've already got this done because this is a website that I've actually already put a few of the button clicks in, but we're going to do a new one today. So come over here and click on new. Click on trigger, configuration, and click on just clicks. Now I've seen people do this tutorial before where they click all elements. We're using Elementor and WordPress, and I've found that this just works with just clicks. So we're gonna click that, name it something. So for example, today I'm working on our Ready Kids website, our fine motor skills page. Down here, we have a call to action to our Ready Kids platform. So I would like this button to be clicked. So I'm going to call this here fine motor page. I'm going to say platform click. There we go. Now we have the choice here to change this to all clicks or just some clicks. Right now, we're just gonna leave this as all clicks, and we're gonna come back and change it a little bit later. I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna click save, and then we're gonna go preview. Now, everything that's happening with Google Tag Manager right now is in a dev kind of mode. We can enter our URL. So I'm actually gonna go this page. There we go. And what this has done is it's opened up our Google Tag Assistant over this side where we can click continue. And then on this side, we've actually got a page, and this is a debugging mode. So as I come down here, I can interact with this website, whether it's scrolling, filling out a form, or clicking a button, and I can actually see the result of that in here. So we come back over here and we click this button here. Okay. That sent some data back over here. And if I go here under link clicks, that's just appeared. And we go under variables, because it's not a tag yet. So we go under variables. We can actually see here, this is the button we've just clicked. So explore the platform was the click text. And that's why we needed those variables to be enabled before under that configuration, because we want to be able to see all this information. We need to tell Google Tag Manager that it's this exact button that's being clicked. So What do we have here that is a specific or a unique thing about the button? Well, we could have the button's text, for example, must equal explore the platform, but that might be somewhere else as well. So the best thing to use here is probably going to be the click class. It could also be a container ID. It depends on how your website's built and whether or not you're using Elementor or some other page builder or building it out in HTML. So let's save that right there. We're copying that piece of text there under click class. Then what we're going to do is we're going to come back over here. We're going to change that trigger, so find motor page, and we're going to say instead of all clicks, we're going to say some clicks, where the click class is equals, and we're going to paste that in there. Now, it has to be exactly right if we're using that equals. We could do contains, but we're just going to use that equals for now. I'm going to save that, and then we're going to click preview again. And that's going to run our debugger one more time, and we want to make sure that no other buttons being picked up, and that button is still in fact being picked up. Okay, so it's reloaded the page. Let's come down and click that again. Come back over here, check our link click, and that has in fact come up again. Yep, great. So what we can do now that we have that trigger is we come to our tags, and under our tags we can again create a new tag. And when we're in our tag, we need to fill out two pieces of information. We need to tell it what the tag configuration is. So for example, with this, it's a GA4 event because we want to track these clicks in our GA4. So we click that, and then we go manual configuration, and under here, under measurement ID, I'm just going to go copy that from my Google Analytics. So there we have our measurement ID under our data streams under all. And then we can come back over to our Google Tag Manager, paste that in there, and then give this an event name. So I'm going to call this find motor page explore platform click. So under here we have our event parameters, and what these are those variables that we were looking at before. We can actually add a row in here, click on value, and we can see any of these pieces of data. So you might be thinking, well, it's not really helpful because we're on the same page, the same button, right? So we don't need to know necessarily the page URL, or we don't need to know the click text because we know that that button's text is in fact explore the platform. But if you're doing a big group of buttons, this is super useful. You can A/B test things this way, and you can see which variables are working and which variables aren't. Under here, something I like to have a look at is the referrer, because the referrer is the page before the person has actually got to this page. So that's interesting to know. So I'm just going to put here referrer, and then under our trigger, we need to tell Google Tag Manager which trigger is actually going to trigger this Google Analytics 4 event. So we have here our find motor click, and we can add exceptions if we wanted to, but we're going to just save that as it is and change the tag name. So I'm just going to call this find motor platform click tag. Save that one up, and then for a last check, we're just going to open up our preview one more time. And now when we come down here and we actually click that explore the platform button, we can come back over here and we should see, yes, under our tags, we're actually getting that tag file right there. And yes, in fact, we have here our find motor platform click. So we have here some property details and some firing trigger details, and we can see that just there. But For all intents and purposes, we know it's working, we know we're tracking it. So then what we can do is we can come here and submit. Because as I said before, everything that we've just worked on is in a dev style environment, right? We've worked on here in a debugging mode. So we can come back over here and click submit, add a version number or a version name. So I might say Fine Motor Platform button and click publish. Great. So now that that's done, there's one last thing to just double check that everything is working perfectly. We can come over to Google Analytics 4 and type in the search here, debug view, and go to our debug view. And what this is going to allow us to do is actually see the last top events that have happened on our website. And sure enough, you can see here, just a couple minutes ago, that I have, if I click there, we have our Find Motor page, explore platform click, and under our parameters, we have all the different things, including our page referrer. So for example, for me, that page referrer was Google Tag Assistant, because yes, Google Tag Assistant led me to that page. And there you go. You got your button click set up with Google Tag Manager so that you can actually measure and look at your event tracking in Google Analytics 4. Now, I will say that this does take about 24 hours until you're actually going to start seeing those events come in. So just leave it, be patient for a few days, and then you'll start seeing those events come in to your event area. If you don't know where that is, you have to come over to events. So we have here the other button clicks that I've done in the past with the count, as well as the number of users and the amount of change going up or down. You can actually click into each of these. For example, let's click into this one, and we can see some data on that event. So we can see that majority of our users are coming from Australia. That makes sense. The click URL, 50% are from the homepage and 50% are from the pricing page, near enough. And we've got here the exact page breakdown. We got all this data because we enabled those variables and we have those parameters being fed in to Google Analytics. This is a super useful way of measuring and making decisions on your website from data, rather than just guessing what your users are doing. You're actually able to track what you're doing. You can set this up with any type of button or link click on your website. So I hope you found this useful. If you have, please like the video, click subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.